Hi, everybody. I'm Deacon John Wilson, Education and Enrichment Director for West Angeles Church, which is that church behind me. We used to say we're a church on the move for God. I still say that. It's behind me in more ways than just being behind me in this picture. We have a bishop who has the vision to see the need for what I do, which is provide educational support and leadership to youth in the community and more to adults and families in general, and especially active during this crisis, which has provided a lot of challenges and realizations about the difficulties that students can have in our educational system. Let's get right into it. I realize I have a topic today here which I have not spent a lot of time with outside of our meetings. I won't be able to spend a lot of time in our meetings. So there's so many other issues that are unique to our situation that I thought I'd do a video on it. And that's why does private college cost so much? And boy, does it cost. And, I have to bring that up because that's even adjusting for financial aid, as you'll see in just a moment. Now that students are Zooming their classes from home while attending private colleges, parents, many of whom have COVID threatened careers, are getting a more enlightened understanding of the high tuition costs that we have with private college. The truth of the fact is that even accounting for financial aid, as it were, since 2010, private college costs have soared. Uh, there are exceptions among the lesser known, I should say, and strangely less preferred, never have figured that out, colleges. So I guess we just want a college that has a name, or we prefer those things we're familiar with, right? It's part of human nature. It's just that now their costs are seen more, and therefore now there's a more relevant discussion. I mean, when you have a school you're paying, 20, 30, 40,000 a semester for tuition, and your student is logged on at home and not on the campus, and it didn't go down in nearly every case, you're looking at that and you're wondering, is that really a good value? Schools like Duke, all the Ivy League colleges and universities, USC, Boston College, Stanford, Georgetown, University, Reed College. I'm not really picking on them. There's about 150 others I could have mentioned that are all greater than $60,000 in tuition and fees. Unfortunately, even the second tier colleges like LMU, Pitzer, George Washington, Spelman, Morehouse, Biola, even the APU are more than $45,000 per year for your student to attend. I mean, you're talking about $250,000 in those cases in first year, uh, just on tuition alone, and that's not even counting the additional 12 to 17,000 per year in room and board if they're away in college. And we'll talk more about that because a lot of you would say, well, there's financial aid. And I'll say a little about that in a minute. And in fact, I'll just do that now. A deeper concern is that in my experience here at West Angeles, my upper middle class and middle class families, no matter if the colleges are first tier or second tier, even after the financial aid is applied, are going to pay, 25 to $50,000 per year for college. Again, in some cases that does not include the room and board. Think about that. In most cases it does, but some it doesn't. Of course, this is given the fact that a predominant majority of students cannot qualify for the highest academic merit awards at these name brand institutions. And they may even be great students, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7 in high school, and they're getting money from the college, but they still owe, 25 to $50,000 per year. That appears to be the norm. All right. So just how can a middle class family pay for college? How can they pay for college? Well, that's a good question. Uh, all I would say to that, it's the parent loan, right? The colleges will put the parent loan on the financial aid award. So I would say enter the parent loan for undergraduate students, which is the plus loan, which is not limited by parent income, regardless of income. I've seen parents who just are on disability income qualify for $50,000 a year, 30, 40, 50 in federal loans. They're not going to be able to pay that back. That's something the taxpayer would have to bear, and I don't. That's a problem. So it's regardless of income, regardless of credit, unless you have an extreme issue on your credit report, like a bankruptcy or a tax lien or a foreclosure or a lot of late obligations. Have to be a whole lot, by the way. You can generally be approved. Most people, a great majority, are going to get approved for a parent loan. Well, from what I've seen, a high percentage of parents are quite willing to take out that loan. Some of you might regard what I've said as good news, because you'll be able to afford a higher price college, but you're going to have 100,000 to 300,000 in debt for a private school. Yeah, at a time in your life when you're maybe past or at your peak income, and it's only going to go down from here. And I already mentioned earlier, some have COVID threatened incomes, COVID response threatened incomes that need to be considered as well more than ever. All right. But I can understand, I can understand, why you want to do it. I'm going to do a separate video on that, on why parents would do it or not do it. But that's a separate subject. So why is private college so expensive? That's our focus here. The answer is in what I just said about plus loans, actually. That's why I spent some time on it. No matter how expensive a college is, parents will almost always, right, be approved for a loan. Therefore, colleges have learned that no matter what they charge parents, the federal government will come in and offer a plus loan to the parents. In fact, they even put it on the financial aid award the school will, who are so willing to take only so willing to take out the debt, take out the loan for all 4 years. And so they've learned that, and they just simply keep increasing the cost, knowing that parents will take out that debt, that the federal government will allow unlimited debt for moderate credit and actually no income at times. This is a stark reminder of, remember the old mortgage loan crisis we had in 2008? It was busting our economy up a little earlier, 2006 to 7. We had hints of it being a problem. But then by 2008, the economy went bust. Why? Because they provided all of these loans to people that could not pay them off. They were not sustainable. Some say we never really fixed that problem, but I think we haven't seen it like that since then. But that was the problem in 2008, and that's kind of what's happening here today. It's not a sustainable system, and so we're seeing a rapid increase in debt since 2010. In fact, it's gone up. The amount of federal debt since 2010 has gone up 2.5 times. Now, why did that happen? It's the same reason that every increase in college costs has occurred over time. It's because the government has intervened with some new program or something else to relieve parents of the expense that's caused schools then to turn around and charge more. In this case, it was 2010, making parent loans easier to get, right? Easier to get. And that was a major issue at that time. Um, so it's that these interventions have caused it. Before 2010, we had the problem, but not like we have it now. So we had loan products that were low interest that students could go to and take out these loans, and it wasn't quite as bad, not nearly as bad as it is now. There's a place on the internet where they count the debt daily, and it's over 1.7 trillion dollars, 1 to 1.8 trillion, almost 2 trillion in debt, in college loan debt in the United States, which has surpassed credit card debt as the number one debt we have in the United States. Lest you leave this video thinking it's those colleges, it's the federal government and the colleges are not to blame. They have their share of blame too for costing so much. There's something to be said for the so-called Bowen effect, Bowen, Bowen effect. You ought to Google it sometime, parents. The Bowen effect was first introduced by Howard Bowen in 1980. He was a financier from college, from the college community. Well before 1980 was well before the sharp uptick I mentioned in 2010, where it's more than doubled since then. But this effect was known as early as and accepted by academics as early as 1980. Here's a summary, good definition for the Bowen effect. The basic idea is that colleges and universities will spend everything they have. So if you increase their revenue, you should expect their costs to go up too, creating a spiraling in cost that then is passed on to the parents. So it keeps going up. And that's what's happening with private schools. I can remember when I first started doing this, uh, private colleges were running, 30 and 35,000. A lot of them were 25 and 20,000. And the public universities were really about $10,000. And that's just since I started working with students. When I went to school, my tuition was 2,500 a semester at George Washington University. So we've had huge increases in cost of college. Um, at various points over the years, state and federal public policy has intervened to provide more funding for colleges and universities, and the colleges just charge more to families for tuition and fees. They can charge you more because they know you're going to get more financial aid. Improved plus loan availability is just the latest form of public intervention that's caused the cost of private colleges to go up. Again, this is all about why is private college so expensive. Of course, this happens with public universities too, don't get me wrong, that are taxpayer subsidized. Back here in California, you remember a few years ago, we had Proposition 32 that came into play, and it charged a higher sales tax that would go to the colleges, UCs, and CSUs. And literally the next 2 weeks, CSU and UC wanted to raise their fees. And Governor Brown at the time said, "Whoa, you can't do that. We just got you more money. Why are you raising your costs?" Well, and he stopped them at the time, but they went about it a different way with different methods by raising certain campus unique fees and things like that. The schools still saw a need to do that. And there are a lot of reasons for that that I don't want to get to right now. But even with public universities, is my point, you see the Bowen effect, right? So it's more true at private college. You can see it more. And it's even more remarkable at private colleges because if you think about it, they have large endowments where the interest from those endowments is a large part of what they use to fund projects on their campuses. So you have these large endowments and other interest revenue sources. We haven't even considered the athletic income that comes into schools, but yet they're still charging these incredibly increasing high private schools, in any way we're talking today, costs. All right. So just in conclusion here to summarize, why does college cost so much? Because parents are willing to go into debt and colleges are willing to spend it and then charge more each year for college. In future college cost videos, I'll provide ideas to break this, I call it a non sustainable cycle of private college cost. I really want to get into that and get into our top 10 colleges and why they're so affordable and other schools that are quite affordable, other ways of your student getting their careers developed and going on to success. I will definitely cover that in future videos. God bless you. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I only let me know if I should continue doing these videos. Are they informative? Are they helpful? Um, I sure hope you're seeing them. You can go to our YouTube channel, which you're on right now if you're seeing this, I believe. And why don't you subscribe there? So every time I do a video, you'll see the video. You'll get some kind of reminder in your computer. God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye bye now.